Hey y'all, today I'm making an easy, cheesy shrimp and rice bake. So the first thing I'm gonna do, because I start off on the skillet, but then I'm gonna put it in the oven, I'm gonna go preheat my oven to 425. There we go. Now, let's get the skillet going to melt some butter. While that's warming up, I'm going to drain my shrimp. I buy raw frozen shrimp. I get them with the tails off, the shells off, and deveined, so all the dirty work is done for me. Let's try to get off as much water as we can. So I'll use a clean dish towel to kind of give them a final dry down. So those are going to be ready for the recipe as soon as we get this easy cheesy shrimp and rice bake going. Okay, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter to the skillet and get it melting. I've been chopping down some mushrooms and onions. We're going to saute those first. I have a few more mushrooms back here to do. Okay, I'm using a whole pint of mushrooms I've sliced up, a medium onion. I have the tablespoon of butter melting in here. I'm going to lower it to medium high. Okay. So I can cook the mushrooms and the onions at the same time. We lost one. As soon as these start to soften up a little bit, I'm going to add the garlic. I don't want to add the garlic too early because garlic can tend to, when it gets overcooked and starts to burn, it has a less pleasant taste, not that garlic we all know and love. So I'm going to add it in the last minute of sauteing my mushrooms. You can use white button mushrooms for this. You can also use baby bellas, which are also called cremini mushrooms. Those are two of the easiest ones to find at the market. You can buy them already pre-sliced up if you want to save some time. I personally think they last a little bit longer in the fridge if you buy them whole. So if you're not going to be making the recipe that day, I'd go ahead and buy the whole ones and just slice down what you need when the time comes. So like I said, I'm using about 1.5 pounds of raw shrimp. I get them out of the frozen department. Make sure that when you're purchasing the shrimp, you don't accidentally buy the pre-cooked shrimp. The bags look very similar. They're often right next door to each other. And if you try to throw the cooked shrimp in here and cook it for the amount of time the recipe calls for, they're going to be very tough and rubbery. The beauty of shrimp is that they cook so ridiculously fast, just a couple of minutes. So shrimp always makes a very quick meal. I'm going to continue to stir my mushrooms, onions together. I'll be adding the garlic in just a second. Going to add looks like a very generous tablespoon of garlic, more or less, depending on your preferences. I'm going to let that go for about a minute, 45 seconds. I can smell it. It's coming to life. Garlic and mushrooms. Woo! Good stuff. Okay, now my shrimp, tails off, shells off, they've been deveined, they are raw. Put these guys in here, and I want to cook them just a little bit. Ooh, I left a few behind. For about 2 to 3 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to be getting those ingredients together for my roux. I'm going to make a roux that's going to create the creamy sauce for this shrimp dish, the creamy cheesy sauce. And the reason why I prefer to make a roux myself, it sounds kind of hard and complicated, but it's really actually super easy. And that way I can kind of control the nutrition content of my recipe. So I can use skim milk, whole milk, I can use cream, I can use butter and the flour of my choice, and then I can add in as much cheese as I like to this. So I can add a lot of cheese, I can add a little cheese. And so instead of just dumping a big bottle of like Alfredo sauce or something, this is a really great way to have a little more control over the nutritional details of your recipe. I can see my shrimp are starting to turn lightly pink. I don't want to overcook them because these are still going to cook a little more in the oven later. Let me give them one more minute. Okay, my shrimp are just cooked. Actually, they could go a little bit longer, but they're not. We still have some more to go in the cooking process, and I'm going to make this roux. I'm going to scoop out most of the stuff into my bowl. I want to leave some of the juices in there to add flavor to my roux. I'm going to melt my remaining, I have 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to melt that. Okay, and for every tablespoon of butter I use, I'm going to use a tablespoon of flour, so equal parts. It's an equal ratio. So I've got 2 tablespoons of flour. Use a whisk or a fork if you don't have a whisk to stir that around. Let the flour brown just a little bit in the pan. Once you start smelling the flour cook in the butter and it's turning a light golden brown, we are going to slowly pour in a cup and a half of milk in about 3 portions, and stir the flour mixture, whisk it until it makes a smooth mixture in the milk. You may find this easier with the whisk, but if you keep moving fast with your wooden spoon, you can get it done. Just drizzle the milk in a little at a time. We're not dumping the whole cup and a half in at once. Now I'm going to add some seasonings. I have some Italian seasoning and I have some salt. Do a little black pepper. Get that going. I'm gonna bring this up to a little bubble. Just a gentle bubble, not a big boil. And then I'm gonna put in the cheese. I'm using a sharp cheddar cheese, but you could use a milder cheddar, a white cheddar. I'm gonna do a little bit at a time again. And stir it till it melts. Turn my heat down a little bit if I need to. And I'm making the most yummy cheesy sauce. My husband will be like, why don't you just melt a thing of Velveeta? I'm like, look at this. This is some delicious quality cheese, the real thing, nothing fake. Cheese melt dairy. Add a little bit more milk, it's pretty thick. Take this off heat for just a second because it's getting pretty thick. If you feel like the sauce is getting too thick, you can just put in a little more milk. Can you see how delicious this sauce is? That is yummy, okay? Now this is gonna be the foundation that holds the shrimp, the mushrooms together, and also my grain. I am using brown rice today. You could use quinoa, you could use the whole grain of your choice like bulgur, wheat berries, whatever you like. You could even use a pasta in here if you prefer. So I'm using whole grain rice, and I'm getting the ready bags just because we're trying to make this recipe fast. I could cook it from scratch, but let's just put in 3 cups of a cooked whole grain. I'm choosing brown rice today. Okay, that's about 3 cups. Stir that in to get it all coated. And then I can turn my heat off now. I'm gonna add my shrimp. And it's okay if there's still some juices because the sauce is thick, but if there is a lot of shrimp and mushroom juice going on here, hold some of it back till you decide if you're making your dish, your bake too thick. So I'm putting these back in. Shrimp, mushrooms, onions are all coming back in. I'm gonna stir that into the dish. Ooh, I got myself. And then we're gonna put this in the oven to bubble up and come together for about 15 minutes. We're gonna add some more cheese to the top because really, it is cheesy. It's easy cheesy. This is an easy cheesy shrimp bake. Sprinkle with a little bit more cheese. Look at this. I'm almost ready to put my easy peasy shrimp bake into the oven for 15 minutes, but I want to add even a few more veggies. More veggies, the better. So I'm going to use 3 cups of baby spinach. Just going to coarsely chop it so it stirs in well. I'm going to stir this in to my dish. And then we will cook it for 15 minutes in the oven. Stir this up. And I'm going to choose to use the lid actually. Told you I was winging it. I'm adding the spinach. And it's almost ready to eat. I just want to bake it for 15 minutes so that it's just really bubbling and gooey. So more cheese is better. I'm going to sprinkle a little extra on top. I'm going to pop the lid on, Stick it in the oven for 15 minutes. All right, y'all, ding, ding, ding. 15 minutes is up and I'm gonna check out my easy peasy cheesy shrimp rice bake. Ooh, oh, it looks super good. Oh, yes. So excited to have this for dinner tonight. Okay. Ooh, yummy. See that? Delicious. Put some up on a plate here. Is it wrong if I pick out extra shrimp for me? So good. Also, you can garnish it however you like. I had a few green onions on hand. Any kind of chopped herb that you like that kind of has an Italian flair since we did Italian seasoning. But there you go. Easy cheesy shrimp and rice bake. If you have any questions about this recipe, you can ask them in the chat. And also, something I hear frequently are, I don't like shrimp, what else could I use? You could use scallops, would be amazing. You could also use a chicken breast that you've cut up into little bite-sized pieces. You could use even a ground meat if you wanted to in this, like a ground chicken breast or ground turkey, or a ground plant-based option would be good if you're not into eating meat, poultry, or seafood. So I hope that you get a chance to try this, and it's a wonderful meal that will fill you up. It's comforting, and yet you still have some control over how much cheese and milk that you put in. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for coming to class.